Okay, quick update. And this is like take number 3 or 4 because I keep rambling off and getting lost. On the SIBO front, about 2 weeks ago, after doing a lot of research and reading about the Fodmap diet and the paleo diet and which is the best one to get on to get out of dysbiosis and to get my small bowel moving and all this other stuff. And at this point, I had already added in fermented sauerkraut and fermented pickles. So I'm already adding in fermented items. So the control that I have is very minute in regards to like populating my gut. I can help it, but I can't force it to do something. I read all these articles, like 50 of them, in regards to what diet to follow. Then I read 2 articles from different GIs who said, restricting, going on the Fodmap diet, going on a paleo diet, these are great things, especially if you've got all these symptoms and are flaring, which is not really the case. I've never had IBS. I've had EPI, which is endocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means that I just don't make enough enzymes to break down fat. That's the only thing that I don't break down. But I never have had IBS. I've never had major stomach issues. That's never been me. I've never reacted very poorly to foods. Dairy, and the only reason being is because of the fat content in the dairy. I could always eat a bowl of ice cream and know that I was getting a colon cleanse the next morning. But anyway, these doctors said restricting, doing the FODMAP diet, doing the paleo diet, and doing this restriction actually diminishes your microbiome to where you're not used to certain foods. So you're bound to have flare-ups with like these foods are introduced and your body's not used to them. You're bound to have a flare-up. So you're kind of like creating this situation where it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, if that makes sense. So I read through that and really thought about it. And I'm like, you know what? How much control do I actually have over what goes into my colon outside of what comes in my mouth? But I can't tell my colon, hey, take this bacteria from that pickle because it's good for you. It doesn't work that way. My stomach will do what my stomach wants to do. And that's what it did when I got SIBO. And over, growth of bacteria. So I just decided, screw it. I made a batch of flour-filled zucchini bread, I think was the first thing that I ate. Banana bread, that's what it was. Because bananas are supposed to be good for you, and they're supposed to help populate the colon. So if I bake it in bread, it must be better. Anyway, that went okay. And from that moment forward, adding gluten was a big deal because I was gluten-free for 3 years. And the only reason being, 3 years ago, I had a bout of stomach pain and some bad diarrhea. And I ran into a GI that said, hey, go gluten-free for a week, see if it works. It worked, but it was kind of a vague, like, I couldn't really put my finger on it that was gluten. And every time I had gluten, I didn't have a horrible reaction. There was only one time where I had a bad reaction, and I think it was actually bad bread. But anyway, for me, though, I've never had stomach issues, IBS, all this other stuff. It's only been EPI, a sore upper stomach at night, and that's it. And diarrhea in the morning. The diarrhea I can handle. Give me that any day. Anyway, so now I am not restricting. I think this is a choice that everyone has to make on their own, but I honestly believe the longer that you're on the FODMAP diet, the worse off you are actually making your microbiome. That to me made a ton of sense, and that was from the words of these doctors that I was reading. Because what you're doing is you're taking these things out of your environment. Your environment's not used to these things, and of course you're going to have a bad reaction if you introduce cocoa powder and you haven't had chocolate in 7 years. Of course you're going to have stomach cramps. Of course, coffee. you know, of course you're going to have diarrhea the first time you drink coffee if you've never drunk coffee before, or whatever it is. So actually having your gut get used to these things. And so I've been like eating different things pretty much every day. I've been making that choice of, okay, I haven't tried that yet. Okay, I haven't tried that yet. Sardines, clams, shrimp. Haven't done lobster yet. That needs to be on the list. Sausage, anything. So that's where I am at, is I am throwing everything at my gut. In regards to supplements, here's the thing. Ooh, I have to fart. Watch this, I'm gonna fart on YouTube. Maybe not. Yep. Okay. Anyway. It's always nice when you can fart, let me tell you. So when you are in dysbiosis and you have trapped air, that is the worst thing. It hurts. Oh my gosh, so bad. When you can push the air around and it just won't go out. Anyway. So. Supplements. You can take all the supplements in the world. I will say some of them actually might not be great for your gut. Do your research and find a naysayer, someone that says that that supplement's not great for your gut, and someone that says that that supplement is good for your gut, and then you decide whether or not it's good for you. Try it for a week, 2 weeks. Usually, if it's an herb, it usually takes a little bit longer, so 2 weeks. Sometimes you can tell right away that that is not going to work. Sometimes you can't tell because your stomach's in such a dysfunctional state that no matter what you throw at it, it's still dysfunctional. I would take things away rather than adding them to. That has been the big takeaway for me, is taking things away and seeing how I am, just how I am, and then starting supplements. So like the only supplement I was on was L-glutamate, and I'm still taking a berberine in the morning, one berberine in the morning. This is like preventionary factors, and one Alimax at night. And so that's a psyllin. It's out of garlic. That's to keep the methane at bay if there is ever any methane, bacteria that pop up. The berberine, same thing, just to kind of like level off the bacteria, just to make sure that nobody's, having a party that they're not supposed to. I am restricting sugar still. I still can't have just a ton of sugar. I'm not restricting it as much though. I'm making cookies that are like full batches of sugar and having 1 or 2 cookies. Because again, sugar is something that my gut has to get used to. Anyway, yeah, so it's no holds bars. The only thing, I'm still dealing with dysbiosis, so my gut's still moving really slow from the SIBO, the damage that was done, and being on a liquid diet for so long. And the only reason I was because of the SIBO. I couldn't stomach solid foods. I'm on Remeron, 1 Remeron at night, 15 milligrams to help my gut continue to move at night, and then 1 2-milligram thing of Motegrity at night. And so that's it. And we will see. Like, time will tell as to how this plan is going. But I'm hoping to kind of like kick things up. And actually, I've been doing better since I took off the reins of restricting things. I think some days are worse, some days are better, but I think I was there to begin with. So that is a quick update. Sorry it took so long, but I'm done taking takes. All right, ask any questions.